everybody. This is So Many Sequels. I'm Josh.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Oh my gosh. It's finally time to talk about this freaking movie. No Time to Die, the latest James Bond movie, the last movie from Daniel Craig. We were going to do this last year, obviously, when the movie was...
We're going to do this as our premiere, right?
It was going to be more or less...
This was the 2020 big plans. We were kicking it off with James Bond. That was going to be our big series opener.
And as everyone now knows, that didn't happen. This movie got pushed back 18 months. It just came out a couple of days ago as of our recording. So it's been a long time, but we're here.
Wow.
We're here to talk about it.
It's wild.
Like I said, this is the final movie starring Daniel Craig as James Bond. So this is the final movie in his series. We've got a lot of culmination going on in this one. You will almost certainly hear spoilers in this discussion. So be warned now that there will be spoilers in here. And if you are a big fan, then I can't stress enough that the spoilers will ruin a lot of things for you. So go away if you're scared of spoilers. Okay, good. So in this one, Bond is still trying to get over this whole Vesper thing. He's got Swan with him, Madeline Swan. Some things hit the fan. She's got secrets. Rami Malek is there as a brooding, looming, really kind of classic Bond villain in a lot of ways. And Spectre is, of course, also ever looming in the background. So let's just start out with some initial thoughts. Who would like to go first on what you thought about No Time to Die?
Who wants to go first?
I feel like there's nervousness in the room.
I want to go first, but also, I didn't want to.
Well, go for it.
If you want to, go.
Everybody else is hesitant.
I'm just going to say that the first two movies in this Daniel Craig series, I was like, The last three, loved it. No Time to Die, what a send-off. What a great way to finish off. Not just a run, but also just like a series in general. It had everything I think you would want. It had action. It had good character moments. It had a pretty compelling story. It's sort of surrounded by the meta story of this is Daniel Craig's last James Bond. So a lot of elements that I think he would want to stand out kind of go by the wayside a little bit because you're just always thinking this is the last one. Knowing it's the last one kind of impacts how you think about it in a lot of ways. That said, it didn't let me down. I really enjoyed it. I feel like you can really divide this particular run into two sections, and this, like from Skyfall to No Time to Die, is actually a really good trilogy. If you didn't watch Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, I think you'd be okay starting with Skyfall and just watching the last two. No, sorry, you have even more benefit watching the first two, but Skyfall to No Time to Die, great. Daniel Craig is so good here. You really get, I feel like, even more emotion from him than ever before, whether that is him pouring his heart out to Madeline and professing his love, or whether that's him, spoiler warning, literally trying to choke the life out of Blofeld. It is just a lot of range and a lot of more character than I feel like we've seen from Bond or that you expect from James Bond. And then there's also, there's good humor too. This was fun and exciting and cathartic in a lot of ways. And really just, I think it was visually very, very well shot too. There's a lot of interesting shots, not to be outdone by Sam Mendes. The director here sneaks in a very fun one-take shot going up the stairwell after some grenades are dropped on him. So there's a lot of fun. So I totally enjoyed it, and I'm going to have a hard time figuring out the rating for it.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say as far as like good, except one of the things that I really appreciated in this one is they changed up the structure from what you normally get from at least from this series of Bonds, which is you normally have a big action sequence starting things off, and James Bond is doing this big action stuff, normally ascending to some crazy heights, making everybody feel uncomfortable because he could fall at any point in time and die, right? In this one, you get the villain. And boy, it really did a good job of setting up Rami Malek and building him over time. I mean, he was there at the beginning and he really set the tone of creepy. And then he kind of faded and you kind of saw him. But as he continued to grow, especially in the second half of that movie, he just got so much more menacing as the stakes continued to build and you saw what they were doing. And so I think that is a really good setting for this movie too, is where they did a good job of setting things in a very small personal scale. And then as you see the story unfold, it gets bigger and bigger and the stakes rise and more is happening. And it really just sets a great tone. And for a nearly 3-hour movie, a 3-hour experience, including trailers and everything, it didn't feel it. It was well paced. It was well structured. And I kind of got a little tired at the end, but I mean, it is a 3-hour movie. So that just kind of makes sense. But at no point in time did I feel like it was ever too long. It continued to pace really well. So it was, just overall, so many things that it gave me. And then it even started with, the James Bond walking and shooting and the thing. So that sets the James Bond tone too. So I think it delivered it fantastically.
Cool. Andrew?
Fuck. So I have to say, this was everything that I wanted out of James Bond. And if I have to say anything at all, shit, was this worth the wait? This really was. This really was. I mean, this was like the first big movie to stop due to the coronavirus. And it basically got put on hold. And I'm so happy that they decided to release in theaters and not just streaming, because I don't think the experience would be the same. Number one. Number two, it's such a good send-off. And yeah, Garrett, you're right. There's at no point in time did I ever feel bored in the movie. It was almost 2 hours and 45 minutes long. And I'm just like, man, this really needs to pick up the pace here. No, it did none of that. So it was a thoroughly entertaining movie. You get a lot of good action. You get a lot of great characterization. Rami Malek was a great villain. You really can't get. It's between this and Skyfall about which one is better. But shit, I was just so blown away. I saw this this morning. I saw it this morning. I went to the movies this morning and saw it. So I'm still kind of reeling in from it. It's still pretty fresh.
Yeah.
But no, if you can, go see it in a movie theater right now if you can. I don't care if you're at work. Just stop doing what you're doing. You have no time for work. You have all the time for James Bond.
Time for work.
And definitely stop watching or listening to this podcast, because we haven't really spoiled you yet. But I promise you it's coming. Yeah, so I agree with you all. Each of you made some very solid points. David, you talked about Bond himself and a lot of these emotional moments we get from him. Nailed it. Totally nailed it. He is a much more deep character in this one. You see his experience with love, which is not. It's kind of been a thing, a feeling he's gotten more used to over the course of these movies. His first love was Vesper, and her betrayal really screwed with him, and now he's with Madeline, and he still has trust issues, and we see in this movie those trust issues are come back in full force and are justified in some ways. But you do get that. You get that emotion in that Blofeld scene. You really get it in the very end. So there's a lot of good stuff there. I do think, you know what? I couldn't remember his name, the character that Rami Malek plays.
Sefin is his last name. That's
Stefan.
Sefin's what I retained.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed getting that character introduction in the opening scene, because it does kind of change the perspective a little bit, where you now kind of have this hanging thread that you can grab onto later in the movie. That opening scene is creepy, with the mask he's wearing and how it gets half blown off, and just the stalking nature of that scene where they're in this secluded house in the snow, and it's just the woman and the young version of Madeline, and it was creepy. And then to see her life spared at the end of that scene also opens a lot of questions that are answered later. So a lot of good stuff there. And then, Andrew, I completely agree that this is exactly what I wanted out of a Bond movie too. This is exactly what I wanted out of a finale for sure. I feel like it gave me what I wanted and then some in a lot of ways, because, well, spoiler time. No one's ever killed James Bond before. But they made the choice to kill him at the end of this one. James Bond is no more. And that really threw me because I never saw that coming. I'll tell you what I really thought was going to happen was, a Dark Knight Rises type thing where he fakes his death and then we go to a scene with him in Paris or something.
Yeah, sipping in Italy or something. Yeah.
No, like they made sure we see him get blown to smithereens by those missiles, and that was powerful. Like I was feeling emotional during that scene. He's on the walkie-talkie with Madeline in his last moments. Woo! It got me. I just didn't think they would do that to him. I will say, I don't know. Did anyone here stay to the very end?
No. I didn't.
So I didn't either, but I did read that there's not a scene at the end, but they do make sure at the very end of the credits to say James Bond will return.
Oh, well, so taking a little nod there. Okay.
They're planning.
That was a thing that I was going to be interested in to see how they take it next because of how they chose to end this particular character. And it's interesting to see, especially they have a lot of choices to make with this franchise. I mean, do they try to replicate what they've done and tell a different kind of James Bond story over an arc of time with a new character? Or do you go back to episodics, but make them more realistic than campy? Maybe revisit something like Goldfinger, and instead of make it campy, you make it more realistic and make it a more modern version of something like that. I think that those are some interesting choices that they make because, you're going to be compared to what I think most people would now say is the best incarnation of James Bond. So again, how do you take that and not make it the exact same thing? Because this told a story. So now you have to choose, do you tell a different story or do you do missions in a different way? I mean, how do you go forward now that this entire story is ended? And again, you have a interesting setup where you have a previous 007 and you could follow that character. And that sets up, a 007 issue, but her name is clearly not James Bond in that movie. But
Big Janie Bond.
No.
Maybe more creative.
Well, I mean, no, never mind. But
there's a lot of different ways they could decide to go with it. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to go with. Daniel Craig I don't think he's the oldest person to ever play James Bond, but when he started, he was in his, I think, early 30s. And so maybe there's an argument. And I think a lot of the other actors have been pretty close to that age too. Maybe there's an argument made for going younger and having a younger James Bond, maybe someone in their mid 20s or earlier, and then gives you kind of a longer time span for you to see James Bond grow and evolve. I don't know. There's a lot of different choices they can make going forward with this franchise.
Yeah. Andrew, I want to ask what you thought about the ending, being the other James Bond fan in the room. How taken aback were you by what they chose to do? And how did you feel about it?
Okay. There's very few moments whenever I don't know. I feel just kind of overwhelmed at movies, especially like this, especially when Iron Man died, or when like towards the end of Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, whenever Indy's father is suddenly healed, and all of a sudden we're kind of getting back into this, or when all the main characters from Star Wars died.
Yeah, man, it's Han Solo with a lightsaber through the chest for me.
I will say that his death, to me, I mean, since we're kind of going this route, and we have been now for like the last 4 or 5 years, this sort of exchanging of the torch, this title changing hands, it can only result in a character's death. So towards the end, I didn't know if he was going to die, but I was kind of hoping for a Dark Knight type of ending. But when they said when he finally did pass away, and we see that missile, pretty much obliterate him, I was just like pretty much in awe at that point. I was just like, oh my God, they actually killed James Bond. Like,
yeah,
it took 20 some odd movies to kill him, and they finally did it. Now it's just like, oh, what do we do now?
And I think from this perspective of how they were telling this story as not being so much disconnected, but being a series of events that slowly play in. I mean, they're referencing this movie. They reference the very first movie, and they reference, Mr. White is a character that he's hunting at the beginning of Quantum of Solace, and it's his daughter that he's with here. So like, as a quintrilogy, right, of movies, like it makes a certain amount of sense for the movie to have that ending. And so as it was happening, I was like, I'm surprised they're going to go with this, but I kind of respect it. And I actually really respected that they didn't have some sort of secret he's alive appearance, or something like that, because ultimately, they're not, that, like I talked about, this meta story of this being Daniel Craig's last movie, he's not coming back. So like, it would just feel cheap to be like, well, I know they're not going to do this again. So I really liked it. I think it's a gutsy move. And I also think from a storytelling perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And it's such a great diabolical way to go about it too. Is the way Safin, basically puts him in a position where it's more or less the only choice.
Yeah, I liked that twist a lot, where they do leave no other option because of the nature of this bioweapon that is, the biggest risk of this movie. It's the nanobots in Bond's body are basically programmed to kill Madeline and his daughter if he touches them. So how can he live a life without the people he loves? Also, James Bond has a daughter now.
Surprise.
Fascinating. Which I wish I could take credit for this, but I will have to throw it to a Letterbox review that I read. Very surprised that man can have kids after what was done to him in Casino Royale.
Yeah, that's true.
You can go over time.
They seem pretty pulverized.
Oh God.
But you know what? That's James Bond. He's got strong swimmers.
He overcomes the odds.
And I remember after watching that, I was just thinking, man, Vesper needs to be tender with him after that.
Oh, right. Well, and how cool is it too that like this is the movie where we're gonna kill Bond in this movie, but it has to be worth it. So he's dealing with stopping a bioweapon that would basically Thanos whoever they want in the world, with again almost a snap of a finger. with this chemical bioweapon, they can precisely target who they want to just drop dead.
Yep.
So that is a world-ending event, and that is the only thing worthy of James Bond's life. So,
well, that and the risk of his loved ones, you know,
Yeah.
of
because
course,
I mean, James Bond could have sacrificed himself to save the whole world a million times over in various movies, but he doesn't. He always manages to get away. This is like he basically has to make a choice. And well, let's face it, even if he wasn't, I mean, he was going to have a hard time getting away anyway. But
goes away.
I want to say to the writers that when they pushed this movie, you know, from 2020, it made a lot of sense. I want to say that it's an interesting idea, a small group of nanobots that infect one's bloodstream and basically can kill anybody that comes into contact with somebody. But I have to ask, why now? Not a great time to be pushing the idea that governments have tiny nanobots that they can slip in your bloodstream and kill targeted enemies.
If you were to go back to our early March 2020 episode where we talk about this movie being delayed, we mentioned, or it's mentioned, the idea that it was a financial move, right? Because the China theater market was down at that point. But I've seen it also floated now that the movie's out that perhaps it was a strategic decision because of the fact the studio knew it was a movie about basically a world-ending virus. And maybe that point of time wasn't the best time to go forward with a story like that. Whereas now, I think we can handle that. But also now, David, you are right. People will definitely believe that there are nanobots in our bodies.
Yeah, I mean,
Can't help them, though.
when I was like, when it was just a virus early on in the movie, you know, that targets DNA, I was like, okay, well, that's a little close to home right now. It's not obviously not the same, but you know what I mean? Just this virus that can spread, and basically you can program it to target whoever you want, but then it becomes nanobots. And I was like, no, not nanobots, not microchips.
There's a movie we didn't need in April 2020.
And everybody would have like, did they know?
I don't know. Everybody was watching Contagion and Outbreak or whatever, whatever the other one was.
True.
Do those have tiny machines? I don't know.
I really appreciated the women characters in this movie. I didn't feel like they were.
Here's my beef. I'm going to get to my beef part there.
I feel like you and I might have the same one. We'll see.
I
really enjoyed the level of character development that they gave all of the characters. 007 Naomi was fantastic in her portrayal. I mean, she kicked ass just as much as anybody. I mean, for real, give her the next Bond movie. I don't care. Throw it in there. I want to see her story. I want to hear her 007 thing.
She was intimidating, Lashana Lynch. She's good.
Absolutely. She was great. I don't know how to say her name, but Madeline, Leia, I don't know. I don't want to butcher it, and I know I will, but she was great as Madeline. She got a lot of character throughout this movie. You saw, again, she opened it as the kid. You learn that she has a kid and has been handling that along with her heartbreak of Bond and being Blofeld's therapist and psychotherapist and all of that stuff. And then you were told that Ana de Armas was going to be in it, and she was for like a hot second, but not enough, because her character was very interesting. I mean, she was a different type of Bond character where she was like not into him. There was like no sexual attraction, which is normally what Bond runs into. And any time that it kind of led to that, she was like, no, thank you.
Green.
Yeah. And she was very training for like 3 weeks, but she was whooping everybody's butt. I mean, also give her a chance to be a Bond. Like, I don't care. I really enjoyed just all of the characters and the way they set them up, except for the fact that Anna wasn't Anna more. Exactly.
Write her out of the movie. Not worth it. It was a go to the bathroom and miss it part of the movie.
I do feel like it was fun, but not overly necessary.
And you're going to give her what, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Like just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Hard to disagree with that.
She's barely in the movie.
I feel like
but her part is so good.
Her part is great.
And her part is good. It's
and
wasted
her part is
in a movie where you know you're never going to see her again. Never going to see her again.
Everything that you see her in is in the trailer.
Exactly.
I also agree with that.
Exactly. If she had stuck around for the whole movie, great. But basically everything that happens in that whole sequence, James could have done himself. Like he didn't really need her. She was just walking around going, "Oh, I found him. Great. Walk over and go get him. I shoot a bunch of people. That's it. She doesn't help. She's of no help. She's great, but like the scene works without her. Love her though, and I wanted her to be in all of the movie. I wanted her to be everywhere. So very disappointed in that, but looking very much forward to where she goes to next. Ana de Armas. Is it Anna or Anna?
Anna.
I say Anna.
Josh, you look like you have anger in your heart.
I just don't understand the concept of wanting more of her, so choosing none.
Well, that's the thing. Is if you're gonna put her, the character's worthless. Is what I mean. Is from a character perspective, there's no point in her being there. No point in the character being there. So like, if you're gonna have that character, don't put an awesome actress in the spot where I'm gonna want more of her. Because I'm never gonna get her again. It's not like they're gonna make another James Bond and she's gonna come back.
No.
They're gonna start the whole new cast.
Mm-hmm.
Nah,
wouldn't it be weird if they made a new the next James Bond they do, the entire cast comes back except for Daniel Craig? And they just that series that's it. Like they just reboot everything. But Ralph Fiennes still there, Lashana Lynch is still there, Ana de Armas comes back, Ben Winshaw is still there, and they just new James Bond. Just act like nothing happened. Wouldn't that be weird?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be weird, but I mean, it could work. I mean, Judi Dench played M in Pierce Brosnan's Bond as well, so like it doesn't matter.
Isn't that weird that she carried over?
Don't matter.
So strange.
I find it strange, but
I was gonna Google something. I don't
You're thinking too hard. Just delete. It don't matter.
Well, what else do we got? Do we got anything else we want to discuss or talk about? We want to move into I feel like it's a little bit of a surprising box office thing, personally.
How much time we got left?
We got time.
We have no time to die.
Hello.
I like that they worked that into the movie too.
Billie Eilish and her opening number.
Oh yeah. Well, I like the song a lot.
I thought that the title sequence actually might have been the weakest of the 4 or 5 movies, but the song was great. Like the title sequence for this one was all over the place. I was like, there's no overall theme here.
I actually really liked it.
That's
I really did. Like I think it linked very well to the movie itself, but that's a whole other discussion. No, the title song I've been listening since February of 2020, which was 17 years ago. But no, it's a very good theme. It's a very building theme. Definitely a lot better than the last one. I mean, I can't even remember.
The last one is
Writing on the Wall. Was that what that one was called?
Yeah, by Sam Smith.
See, and that was one where I liked the title sequence, the animation and stuff, more than I liked the song. And now I have the reverse here. But I think we should bring back more title sequences. I would love to see more of those. It's just you get them in ending credit sequences now, which can usually be sometimes are very cool. I think of the Black Panther ending credit sequence. It's really cool.
Horror movies do it if they're trying to set a backstory real quick with all the newspaper clippings and stuff that they tend to go through. Then I always appreciate that. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do need to move on at this point.
Okay.
Let's talk about the opening weekend, which is about all we have right now.
Pretty much, opening domestically right now, we have its 3-day total of $56 million, which is a little lower apparently than most estimates, but still not bad when you consider all the factors. It opened number 1, knocking down Venom, Let There Be Carnage into the number 2 spot. That brought in $32 million. So a pretty solid 1-2 punch there this weekend. And number 3, in its second weekend, you have Addams Family 2. Animated film brought in $10 million. And number 4, still smooth and strong, is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, brought in 4.2. You can watch our review of that right now. And then at number 5, you have the Many Saints of Newark with 1.4 million in its second weekend. Internationally, James Bond pretty much always does really well. And right now it has brought in 257 million internationally, giving it a worldwide total of 313 million, which is good. I mean, that's good. On the year, even just with that opening domestically, it's already the number 12 movie of the year. Hang on. It is the number 14 movie of the year, excuse me. Just behind The Boss Baby, which it'll very quickly pass.
It will never beat Boss Baby. It won't.
That baby's a boss. You can't beat a boss.
The movies that have won the pandemic so far are Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Black Widow, F9, The Fast Saga, A Quiet Place 2, and Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That's your top 5 of the pandemic so far. I think James Bond will probably make its way up into that top 10 before long. And then internationally, James Bond, or No Time to Die, is sitting, where is it? 313. It's sitting in the number 9 spot already for international numbers.
Nice.
So it's doing well. Hi Mom, Korean or Chinese film, is still number 1, followed by Fast 9, Detective Chinatown 3, Godzilla vs. Kong, and The Battle for Lake Shenzhen. So Chinese market's doing just fine. That's it for me. Let's move on to the Letterbox Game, which I don't remember who won last week.
It's Andy Roo.
Andrew, there you go.
All right. What do we all rate this?
Well, I'm gonna guess 3.5.
Okay, 3.5. Josh?
I'm gonna say 3.9.
Oh, I was gonna say 3.7. Wow. Every other.
There we go.
Okay, so David 3.9, Garrett 3.7, and and Josh 3.5.
That's my name.
Okay, well, one of you all is the winner, and got it exactly right.
Oh,
and it is Garrett with 3.7.
Oh,
there we go. Garrett stepping forward.
I will say that one of the reviews here is like, says, this review may contain spoilers. Anna de Armas can kill me, and I'd say thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Another one is first 40 minutes. Where's Anna de Armas? Next 10 minutes. Yay, Anna de Armas. The rest of the movie, I miss Anna de Armas.
It really was. She was a very captivating character.
No one promised an Anna de Armas movie.
But I agree that as soon as I saw that scene end, I went, okay, well, that was the end of that character, because that was all I saw in the trailer.
You want to know? I want to compliment, though. I want to give a shout out to a guy who's been in this franchise for a little while. That's Jeffrey Wright.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Really good.
When Felix, spoilers. When Felix died, that was a very heavy thing, and I think that was really the first like deep emotion that we got from Bond in this film. So
I think that was really well played. You know, he's not been like the most integral character, but we introduced him in Casino Royale, see more of him in Quantum, kind of goes away for a little bit, but I think they really stuck the landing on making him feel like James Bond's sort of equal, maybe not equal, but
they were very respected.
He's like most trusted dude. He's great, and poor Bond, he's just losing everybody he cares about at all times. All right. Well, then what are our...
ever play a likable character?
Who?
Will Billy Magnuson ever play a likable character?
Oh.
I've seen that man in like 4 or 5 movies, and he's always a dick.
It happens.
This is I don't know. Somebody else go. What do you guys rate it? I can't decide.
I need to hear.
I'm going to give it
Andrews.
5 stars.
Man, I'm also giving it a 5-star. I loved every second.
And I'm wrestling with this still. What did I give Casino Royale? I gave Casino Royale 4, I think. I think I gave Skyfall a 4.5. I think I'm gonna say it's a 5.
Ooh.
Like Despite my Ana de Armas criticism, I give it a 5.
I won't overcome it, and it will be a 4.5 from me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Such
I
a
can accept
Simon
that.
Cowell.
I was almost a 4.5 as well.
Well, that makes our final a 4.87. So it's a
That is very high compared
hilarious.
to some of the other the letterbox scoring.
I
That's true.
don't care. It was
That's
great.
true.
Well,
Where do we
well,
feel about the franchise as a whole? What would we all 5 movies together? What would we rate it?
Because I can't decide yet. No Time to Die and Skyfall. Casino Royale, Spectre, Quantum.
Yeah, I think as a series as a whole, like if you took all of them together, I think this is a series. I would give it like a 3.6.
The whole series?
Yeah. So I feel like it has 2 really highs, 1 pretty solid, and then 1 pretty forgettable. I would say 2 solids, 2 greats, and one forgettable. So I'd give it like a 3.6.
That's respectable.
3.5. I give it a 3.5.
I don't know. I'll have to go average my scores.
Yeah, we'll have to
see
do
what they
actual
add up
math
to.
to figure it out.
That should be our new thing we do is we need to average the scores of the series and then see what our series scores are.
That's not a bad idea.
Highest series at the end of the year. That'd be
Exactly.
Yes.
That's fine.
Interesting. Okay.
Bookmark this in the editing there.
Yes,
Josh.
gonna have to remember that. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
all right.
that finally wraps up this James Bond series that we have been trying to do for well over a year now.
I'm so excited. But what do we do now?
You'll be
I'm
moving.
sad.
Now, obviously, you have to do Austin Powers, right?
At some point, I'm sure it'll come up. If you're watching this show chronologically, we'll be doing Halloween movies next. If you're not, I don't know where you pick up. Wherever you pick up is what we're doing next. So we will see you guys then. Find us online. somanysequels.com has all of our links. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube. And we will see you next time.